Well, hello friends. Today we are going to make some animation happen, and I would like it to happen when we minimize a window. So currently, what happens when you click minimize is it just disappears, and when you click here, it just reappears. And I would like it to sort of shrink down to here, but not like the whole window, but just an outline of it. I think that would be a pretty tasteful effect. So we're just going to try to make that. And this is going to require doing some new IPC between the taskbar and the Windows server, but that's okay because now I've ported the Windows server to the new IPC system, so adding IPC messages should not be terribly difficult. So let's go ahead and add one right away. So we'll just open the Windows Server IPC endpoint here, and we'll just, do we already have minimize related thing somewhere? Set window minimized, right. So here we'll add a new window management message. We'll say set window taskbar rect. And that's the rect that we're going to minimize to. So basically, when you hit minimize, then we want to take this rect of the window right now, and we want to draw that here first here without the window, just a rect, and then we want to, I don't know, like how many steps, say, I don't know, 20 steps, 10 steps, maybe 10 steps. So transform this rectangle into this rectangle down here, and when we get to that rectangle, then we draw it once and then we disappear it, and that's the end of the animation. So in order to make that work, we're going to have to, the taskbar is going to have to inform the Windows server what the window taskbar rectangle is for each window that it tracks. So from a window management perspective, each window is identified by the client ID and the window ID. So the client ID is unique per Windows Server client. So every application that connects to the Windows Server has a unique client ID. And the window ID is unique per client. So here's what we'll do. This message basically just identifies the unique window and then specifies a rectangle. And then this means that it's an asynchronous message, so that it does not expect a response. If we were expecting a response, we would have to write it this way. But this here allows the taskbar to continue whatever it's doing without waiting for a response from the Windows server. Which is good because we're just going to want to fire these away and go about our business. So let's see, how do we do this? Set window minimized. This isn't a button on click, right? So I haven't worked on the taskbar for a while, but where do we create these buttons? I guess it is here. When we do ensure window, then we get a window identifier. And the window identifier is what I was just talking about, client ID and a window ID. And if we already have a window object for this identifier, then we return that, otherwise we instantiate one. And a window in the taskbar program is a title, a rect, a button, and active and minimized states. Oh, and the icon. So we are going to want to, whenever this rect changes, I guess, or no, this is the rect of the window on screen. It's not the rect of the Windows button in the taskbar. That's this thing right here. So I think right now we can just, after this point, we've created a button, so now we can use it. And can we get a screen relative rect? This is the rectangle we want to send to the Windows server. So now, in order to use that new message, let me just, we have to recompile the IPC definition, which is what I did here. Just make sure that it's generated, because then we can, here we can do G window server connection, the post message Windows server WM set window taskbar rect. Then we set the client ID, the window ID, and the window button screen relative rect. And that should be the whole thing that we need to do to communicate this information to the Windows server. From Taskbar ID. So now in Windows Server, we're going to have to handle this message here. So this goes in the WS client connection class. And to handle a new message, all we need to do is just, oh wait, hold on, that didn't turn out right. Virtual outputter, we have to, or this thing doesn't actually have a response, so it's void. Oh, it's right here, this guy. Handle WM set window taskbar rect. That's the thing that we need to implement. So, client connection. All right. And what we're going to do here is first we're going to have to validate. So we'll just copy some validation code from here. So what we're validating is that, is this a valid client ID? So first we find the client that corresponds to the client ID, because the thing is that window management messages are special. Because with normal window server messages, the client ID is implied. It's implied by whoever's sending the message. That's the client that the Windows server will operate on. But if you're a window manager, if you're doing window management stuff like the taskbar does, like in the future we might write the window manager to be a separate program, then it will use these type of messages. And if you're doing these, then you can operate on any of the active clients of the Windows server. And so you have to specify the client ID. So that's what we'll do here. What we do here is we extract the client ID and verify that it corresponds to a live WS client connection. And likewise, we have to check that this is a valid window ID in that client. So if that's all true, then we can grab a window pointer, a reference, and then we will just say window set taskbar rect message.rect. And I think that's all there is to that. And now, of course, we have to be able to store that on the WS window. So I'll just put that here next to rect set taskbar rect. And this is just something that we need to remember. And likewise, we can have a getter for it. Const rect taskbar rect. Okay, and finally, let's have a little member for that. So put you here. Okay, now we are good. Okay, so now what do we want to do? I guess the next step is to get these animations happening. So I think when we minimize, we're going to want to start some kind of an animation thingy, and then the compositor runs at 60 FPS at the moment. So we can just take advantage of that and have like a certain number of ticks that will animate. So 10 ticks at 16.67 that's a little bit short if we animate on every tick. So 25, that's half a second. Less than half a second. Maybe that's a tasteful amount of time. We'll see, maybe 20 ticks. Let's just make it, let's write it in a way so that we can experiment with this later. Because then you can do this thing where if you hold shift or something, then you get really, really slow minimize animation like macOS does. But that's not important. The important part is just getting something that works. So let's see what we do with that. Where do we store the animation step? I guess we can store it on the window, might be the easiest. Minimize animation step, let's say. It's a little bit weird factoring, but I think it's okay. Int minimize animation step. And maybe we'll have set minimize animation step. Oh, we'll just do something like this. And step. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work. We'll figure it out as we go. So put this guy right here at the bottom, and I guess -1 can be like that we're not in a minimize animation. And how do we know how many animation steps we want to do? I guess we define that somewhere else. So WS compositor, he's going to be doing this work, but let's see. Maybe this is okay. We'll have like in minimize animation. Something like that. I don't know. Okay. And then when we're doing the compositing and the compose function, we could do this at the very end. Maybe even after we do the mouse cursor. Here's the cursor. Here's the update flashing. So probably after the cursor. Maybe before the cursor. The cursor should be on top. So for each visible window, now we want to look at windows that are in a minimize animation. So WM for each window. Let's just look at all windows. We're going to have to find windows that are minimized and in an animation. So it's going to be a little tricky, but maybe it won't be tricky actually. We'll see what we can dig out using only this. So if window dot is minimized and window dot in minimize animation. Okay. So actually, we should probably, instead of set minimize animation step, we should just have step minimize animation. And then this will +1 it, and end it. We'll set it to -1, something like that. Okay, and then so I guess this is where we decide how many steps there are going to be. So we'll just say like static constant minimize animation steps 20. Let's say 30, because why not? It's half a second. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it's 60 FPS, then 30 steps should be half a second. Otherwise, something is very strange. So window dot minimize animation step. Okay, so how do we turn our original rectangle into the taskbar rectangle step by step? I guess we have to compute the difference per step in the x, y, width, and height values. So rect animation rect maybe, or we can just call it rect actually. And this is going to be the window. Here we have rect x. Oh shit! Wait, we need to compute the step sizes. So x delta or x. What do we call this? I guess x step, and this is the animation step. X delta per step. Does that make sense? I'm not good with animation, so I'm just guessing how to do this. Maybe there's some more obvious way to do it. But this would be the difference between the window x, the window rect x, and the window taskbar rect x. That's the total delta that we want to divide into the minimize animation steps. Right. And then we have one of these per value that we're changing. X, Y, width, and height. And I guess we can. Okay. And then here, oh, hold on. So this is how much it's changing every step. And then we just added delta per step times animation step, or maybe animation index, let's call it. Does this make sense? Okay, and then let's just draw a rectangle there. So front painter, draw a rect at this rect, and let's, what color do we want? Why is it magenta? My favorite testing color. Let's do a full build the first time. Just make sure everything gets in. Wonder, I feel like this is going to leave some ghosting, but we can deal with that separately. Wait, how do we know when to stop though? We're not incrementing the steppy thingy. So after we draw it, then we have to window step minimize animation, and if window minimize animation step is greater than or equal to minimize animation steps, then window end minimize animation. Okay, and of course we have to also start the minimize animation, so that will happen in we didn't even have a place to start that. Let's start minimize animation, set it to 0. And that's gonna have to happen when we do set minimize. So that'll be here. If we oh, right now this is one direction. We should do both directions actually, but let's worry about the one direction first. So else, or shit. Whenever this changes, we should just start minimize animation. And here, okay, let's just try this out, because we're going to have to change it if you're going from minimized to unminimized. I just want to see if we're at all in the right ballpark here. This is definitely a bit of a, I mean, it's kind of weird to hard code this specifically for minimization. We could do this as more of a general animation mechanism somehow. Oh, shit. That didn't really do what I was expecting it to at all. Damn. Okay, so let's print out some things. So minimize animation step, animation index. Yeah, we should really call that index instead. And we'll say from window rect, or let's call this stuff from rect and to rect. From rect is window rect, and the to rect is the window taskbar. But for any window that's in the window minimize animation, we are just going to say if window is minimized, then it's from window rect, otherwise it's from taskbar rect. And vice versa for to rect. All right, and then here we just have to say from to instead. Tap, 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 tap. This was maybe a candidate for some search and replace, but I didn't end up doing that. It's a little bit of a not good boy move, but what are you gonna do? Let's do these. To rect. Plippity ploppity. X delta per step. And in our case, we are in front of, so maybe these should be minuses actually. Maybe I'm just dumbing this. I'm bad with plus and minus. Or maybe it's not that I'm bad with them, it's just that I am a little bit bad with them. Because I sort of understand what the general interaction should be between the different values, but then is it plus or minus? So well, now he went up there, so it would appear that the taskbar rect was probably 0, 0. Oh, but now at least it zoomed up right. Although clearly we need to be undoing these things that we're drawing. Shit. This is a bit weird, but I guess we can, what's the easiest way to deal with this? I guess we can just invalidate it for the next run. It might be the easiest at the moment. So m in dirty rects add. We'll just add it as a dirty rect for next pass. It's not going to be the most efficient, that's for sure, but it will should at least make sure that it gets covered. Maybe a little too covered. Damn it. Let's do 300 of them then. So wait, why do we end up? Why don't we paint it in that case? Oh shit, we're actually we're coalescing these updates. But when there's so we can't actually expect this to happen at 60 fps, because if there's nothing to do, then we don't do it at 60 fps, which is an obvious optimization that I forgot about. So I think when we do have this, we're going to have to drive the animation elsewhere. How do we do that? I mean, I guess we should just schedule a new recompose right away after we do this. So skip, invalidate. We can just invalidate a rectangle. So maybe that's what we should have been doing in the first place, just calling invalidate instead of trying to futz with the dirty recs manually, because okay, now what is up with that taskbar rec not showing up? And what if we don't invalidate it? And minimize animation. Zoom, look at that. It goes up there. Oh, wait, hold on. Why am I doing this in the front painter? I want to do it in the back painter. That's why it's breaking. I'm mixing up the front and back buffers here. Yeah, ooh, look at that. It's very slow. Too many steps. Loop. Okay, that didn't really do what I wanted it to, but it was something. Do you know now where you're supposed to go? Nope. Okay, so it's a little bit confused. Well, we can work that out. So what was he doing here? He was going from this size to this size. So we should do the temporary rect here too. From that to that. We'll say frame animation index, and finally the rec that we're doing at that particular frame. And we should also cut this down to 30 instead, because 300 is too many steps. Okay, that looks pretty neat despite going to the wrong place. Wait. Why is the taskbar rect so stupid? Oh, I guess we can read it right here. So this is what we think the taskbar rect is. 0, 740, 0 by 0. Oh, wait. 0, 740, that is where it is on screen, isn't it? So, wait, what the heck? Am I just dumbing this right now? Definitely dumbing this. So, what is it that I'm not seeing here? We're going from 300 to 0, 740. So is the problem that this thing is higher? Yeah. I'm subtracting subtracting x from y. Okay, well that would explain it. So yeah, that was the bug, definitely. There was an x here. It's supposed to be a y. Ploop. Look at that. Ploop. Okay, so it's a bit weird that the window pops up before the animation is finished. But part of me likes that. Wait. The size is very small here. The taskbar button is 0 by 0. That's not right. Taskbar rect. I guess this is happening before this button has been laid out. So this is a, what is this exactly? It's a G button. Created here, create button, but it's one of these. And this is the preferred size. So, we're gonna have to wait for it to be laid out before we know what the rect is gonna be. So maybe what we should really be doing here is hooking the taskbar buttons resize event. So that's what we'll do instead, and then we'll know the exact thing. So we'll not do this here, but rather we'll do it when taskbar button is resized. And this is a bit chunky, so let's just cut it up into lines. Okay, and this would be our identifier. So M identifier. And how do we get to the window? Window list. Wait, do we need the window actually? The window button screen relative rect. Oh, we don't need that. We are that button. So we can just do this. Right. Is this what we want? No, this is good. And we don't need the event. But we can let the base class get a resize event, because why not? Okay, so now we just have to rebuild the taskbar. And let's see. Ploop. Okay, that's really quite nice. I wonder if this would be even better, like, is this even better with fewer steps, I wonder? Because you don't need many, right? You just want to have that chin chin look, like that it's going somewhere. Ploop. That's kind of nice. Maybe we should just do this, but with a different color. So, what would be the let's just put this minimize animation above. What's a good color for this? White. White is kind of tasteful. Not bad. Just for fun, let's see what would happen if we would draw, scale the bitmap. rect window backing store. If window backing store, then we'll do this. And window rect, or no, hold on, window backing store rect. Just gonna see what that would look like if we would actually draw the window shrinking. That looks so weird. And probably this would look better with more steps. Like, I think I do like the outline better. And in that case, it's definitely weird when it reappears during the animation, like before the animation is finished. I feel like it's disappearing to kind of the wrong place. Oh, yeah, shit. Oh, wait, is it? We need that debug. Because is it really disappearing to the right place? I felt like it was off and to the right a bit, too much. To x3, 743, but the last frame is at x64. See, that's kind of weird. It's supposed to take me here. So, I mean, this is the frame we're supposed to end up on. Frame 60. What am I not seeing? Probably there's a rounding issue actually, so should do it this way. I always forget about decimals. Float all the things. Oh wait, these don't need to be floated, but this needs to be, and from rec x minus x delta per step times animation index. So like that. Gotta fix that rounding. Oh yeah, look at that. Now we are actually doing the right rectangle. Just kind of, I'm trying to figure out, like, is it nice that it disappears into the taskbar rectangle, or would it be even better if it like disappeared into the top of it? This does make sense to me. Let's do it with even more steps, just for fun. Just to take a look in. Boom. Oh, it's so weird that it doesn't have the title bar when it's shrinking. Yeah, I don't want it to look this way. I want it to be just a frame. So let's get rid of the scale bitmap and just a frame. And let's do the window frame rect instead of the window rect. So frame rect, because then we'll get the outside of the window as well. the title bar and all that, not just innards. Oh yeah, that's really cool. And maybe 15 was a good compromise. It's a quarter second. What do we think about that? Yeah. I really do like that it appears instantly. Both. It's somehow just supposed to appear instantly, even though the animation takes like a moment to catch up, a quarter second to catch up. The window is there right away. You can type in it right away. The animation is merely a visual cue. What about 10 frames? We are just tweaking. Ooh, this is really nice. It reminds me of like early X11 window managers like TWM. Poop, poop, poop. Let's try some other thing. What about the browser? Ploop, ploop, ploop. This is just totally nice. Okay, let's put it at 10. Maybe 12. Just want to see it. Maybe there should be a way to do this type of thing in runtime, by the way. We don't have that right now. Okay, so how does this feel? It's a little bit more animation frames. 2 more. If 10 was enough. Okay. So, Windows Server plus Taskbar. Show animate the window. Animate window frames when going and minimizing. Unminimize. Minimize, unminimize. Taskbar. Taskbar. Buttons. No, hold on. The window. We now animate window outlines. We now show a quick window outline animation when going in, out of minimized state. The animation goes to from the animation rack starts. Taskbar sends over the button corresponding button rack for each window to the window server using a new WM set taskbar rec message. It's a simple 10 frame animation at 60 FPS. Just to give a visual cue where of what's happening with the window. Note that when unminimizing, we still show the window right away, even though even before the animation. Don't hold off until the animation has finished. This avoids making the desktop feel slow/sluggish. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay, so just see that one more time. Ploop, 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 ploop. Okay, I love it. That's so cool. This could definitely be done better, but I'm really happy with how it turned out for a first version, so I hope you like it too. But how can you not? So I think this is going to be the end of today's video. So if you made it this far, then I thank you for watching and for hanging out while I minimize and unminimize over and over, because how awesome is this? Yes, I hope you saw something interesting here. And I will see you next time. Bye.